Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's press conference. I'm here with head coach Frank Reich. We will take questions as we usually do using the raise hand feature on Zoom, and I will call on you as those questions come in. Ben, you're up first.
Hey coach, just looking back on Saturday's win over Cal, just kind of once again, just anything new kind of stand out to you after looking at the tape?
Outstanding defensive performance from start to finish. Really wanted to try to make them one-dimensional. Felt like we were able to do that. I thought on the back end, from a coverage standpoint, it was probably the best coverage we played, of the year. I thought we played really well on the back end, and then obviously had the huge turnovers. 21 points off of turnovers was a big deal. So that's kind of what stuck, and the huge plays. Offensively, yeah, obviously, what we said after the game. I mean, rough first half, but got to go in the second half. Defense played so well. We're winning the game at halftime, and then we got it going up front. And I thought Simeon made a difference being in there, and we're able to get the balance back in the offense and run the ball in the second half.
Steve?
Hey, Frank, after the game, you were talking about Notre Dame and growing up. You, John, and I are probably old enough to remember the C.D. Chesley Sunday morning with Lindsey Nelson and Paul Horning, and Northwestern couldn't move the ball, so it punted to Notre Dame. What I'm trying to get at, though, is there has been talk time at times when you're going against kind of a legacy program. That do you have to tell your players, no, you're not playing against Paul Horning or Tim Brown or Joe Theismann. You're just playing against the guys ahead of you, and whatever history and tradition they have, that really doesn't make a difference when kickoff comes at 7:30 Saturday night.
No, I think it's a great point. I think with the guys today, my sense is that message does not have to be, I think they're locked in. Obviously, this team that we're playing is very obviously very good. So that's where all our focus needs to be. And I think as a player, you enjoy playing, as you're saying, the legacy programs, the teams that have that kind of reputation, that have earned that reputation. It's an opportunity, to put our program, to measure our program against someone like that, and to really be in a spotlight against a very good team.
John?
Coach, we all saw what Micah did, particularly in the second half. I mean, 150 yards is a real good number. Troy and I noticed early in the game you didn't go to the run. There was seems to be right off the top use of the pass. Is that just kind of striving for balance, or maybe setting up the run, or maybe just trying to be aware of the number of carries that Micah has? Just talk about his usage first half versus second last game.
We just didn't make enough first downs. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it started the game, we always script the first 20 or so plays at some level. We veer off that a little bit, but, we got behind the sticks, they got a penalty, and so we're second and long. So, we're probably throwing a few more passes than we normally do. I like to normally just keep it a mix of run and pass, but we were behind the sticks and struggling, and so ended up throwing it a little bit more. It's a great thing as a play caller that when your defense keeps playing the way they are, and then on top of that, to even score points, score 2 touchdowns, then you don't feel like you're getting desperate, you're not reaching. And so we were able to kind of get back into a rhythm as an offense, and really even for me as a play caller to kind of get back on with the run and not getting in a situation where we just had to play catch up, even though we struggled bad in the first half.
Dylan?
Yeah, Coach. I believe it was Elijah's first start in the big game. Kind of talk about his game and what you noticed out of him in his first start against Cal.
I mean, Elijah, extremely poised, very accurate. Nothing's too big for him. I thought he had a really good 2 weeks of practice, leading into this game. And then in the second half, when he needed to make plays, he made the plays. And that's what we've seen from him. His ability to do that. Throws the deep ball really well. Hit some big sail routes. some big chunk plays there that really required, one of them in particular to CJ, some high level finesse throw, on a back shoulder sail route. That was something we practiced and anticipated, and he was able to execute that at a high level. So, and I just felt like he played with a lot of confidence in the second half, even though we were poor in the first half.
John?
Frank, as one who's watched Notre Dame for 55 years, sort of on par with you, I'll focus on 2025. A challenging task. I mean, you watch, pardon me. Yeah, I guess I'll start with the defense. I mean, the corners, the 6'7" defensive end. I mean, it's professionally, this is quite a challenge, is it not?
No doubt. It's a challenge. It's exciting. This is a good football team. Like when I put the tape on yesterday, I was like, woo. I mean, this is a real deal. I mean, this to me looks like the best team we played all year. In the film I've watched, they're really well coached. You can just see it. It jumps off the tape. They're very well coached. They're high level. There's really no weakness, for me, mostly looking at their defense right now. I'll get to the offense a little bit later today, but looking at them defensively, really good across the board. So it's going to be a good challenge for us. I mean, it's a great opportunity, for us coming off a big win, an emotional win, to be able to lock down against, one of the better teams in the country and, see how we stack up.
Thank you, John. Steve?
Frank, you just said you haven't looked much at their offense, but I'm sure you've got a pretty good idea of how good Jeremiah Love is. How good is Jeremiah Love?
Yeah, I mean, he's really super explosive. Obviously, he's got the 20 touch. I haven't looked at a bunch of the tape, but I've kind of looked at the overview of their personnel and talked with our guys, talked with our defensive staff, just gotten, meeting with Coach Thompson and just getting his perspective on a little bit on the offense we're facing. So, a great back. Obviously they're scoring 40 plus points a game. He's got a more long touchdown runs than anybody you've seen all year. Obviously quarterback being a first year starter, playing at a high level, completing 67% of his passes. I mean, that's pretty impressive. But I think for Notre Dame, listen, for me, when I was coaching in the NFL and scouting Notre Dame, having been in Indianapolis for a bunch of years, I was always just so impressed with the offensive line play at Notre Dame. It's just always been great. It just seems like every year they got great offensive line play. And, you're looking at an offensive line that I believe has started the same five guys for the whole year. They play at a high level. You could see the technique and the fundamentals they play with. It's really good. And I think that's where it all starts for them. And then obviously they got a playmaking tight end to go along with it, who's averaging 16 yards a catch. So very, very, very good offense.
Troy?
Yeah, quick one. How's Mitch Lieber doing?
Have a meeting. He's doing pretty well, right? So he's doing pretty well. Meeting we had last night was good reports on Mitch. And so really wanted to see how he responded today, but it was probably as good a news as possible last night, but we're still not completely out of the woods. Need to check back in with the docs and the trainers today.
Thank you, Troy. Ben?
Yeah, going back to Saturday's win, just kind of walk us through that touchdown from Elijah to CJ, just kind of what was the design there and kind of how that all unfolded. Yeah.
It was a 3rd and 7. They were playing what we call like a 5 lock coverage, a 3 deep zone on the front side, but locking the backside man to man, and and the backside just has had the possibility of a go route tied to it, and if you get man to man, you just give the quarterback the green light to go there. The play's really designed to go front side, but you got the green light to go. You go backside on that particular play. Sometimes it's on the front side, sometimes it's on the backside. And this play was on the backside, and we all knew Elijah was going there. I mean, he likes throwing to CJ in those situations, and particularly in that kind of game scenario, throwing a go ball under those circumstances it's a good calculated risk. And he has shown a couple times now, you think about the go ball he threw to him against Carolina on the other side of the field. I mean, he just has great touch on those throws. And CJ did a phenomenal job of the corner was playing heavy outside technique. I mean, heavy outside technique. Like pre-snap, you're thinking there's no way that we should complete this. But CJ just fights through it. He fights through it, fights through contact, and then just makes a heck of a play on the sideline.
John?
Coach, without asking you to give away the game plan, I mean, back to Notre Dame, I mean, they've got a handful of pick sixes in the last couple of games, 15. That corner looks as good as there is in college. The field safety, I think, had a pick six against Syracuse. When you have a young quarterback and you have a defense like that jumps routes and is aggressive, what are some sort of principles, again, maybe harkening back to your third or fourth times as a starter? What does a quarterback need to be thinking about as you start preparing for an opponent like this?
For us, it's going to be the same every week. We talk about, phrase about play the play. Just execute one play at a time. As you said, very, very tough defense, but we can execute against anybody. I know that. So listen, we have a lot of respect for this team. They have earned the respect that they have, but we got to focus on what we're doing. And so that means, don't get behind in the sticks, right? It's hard enough to play against a good team like this. So, we got to be efficient on first and second down. So you don't want to get in third and long against this team. Ideally you need to be able to mix run and pass, kind of keep the pressure off the quarterback. And the thing is, I remember my coach, Coach Levy saying, just let every drive end in a kick of some sort. If every drive ends in a kick, we're good. Punting is not the worst thing in the world. So, if we have to have a couple punts in this game, so be it. But let's play smart football. And, the way our defense is playing right now, we feel like our defense is playing at a high level. Our defense has played some pretty potent offenses this year that they've held down and kept the points down for long periods of time in the game. So, I think that's a big key for us. Come out and play smart football early, stay in it, stay in it, make some plays, and get in that kind of a fight, and then make the plays later in the game that you need to win the game.
Steve?
Yeah, Frank, after the game Saturday night, I was joking, asking you if a game like that made you want to stay as the coach for however long. But on a serious note, come next Monday, theoretically, you're free to do what you want to do. What has this experience done for you in what you think you want to do in the future? And do you have set plans for yourself come next Monday?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that question. And I think you'll understand, like right now, my focus is so much on Notre Dame that I'll have plenty of time to make plans. So right now, the only plans I'm making are how to make a first down against Notre Dame. You know what I mean? How to score touchdowns, how to get the most out of this season. This has been an unbelievable experience with this team, the players, the coaches. The whole thing has been incredible. And so in order to get the full experience and the full enjoyment out of it, I got to pour everything I have into this week. You know what I mean? And so that's really all I'm thinking about right now. There's plenty of time out there for other stuff when this season is over. But right now we're in lockdown mode, getting ready for Notre Dame.
Understood, appreciated, and someone who's older than you are, you got plenty of time.
Thank you.
John?
Coach, I want to talk about Matt Rose. I mean, your father played at Penn State. My understanding is his grandfather played at Notre Dame. If Troy and I had $1 for every time we mentioned Matt Rose being all over the field, we'd have four digits in dollar bills. Just talk about him as a football player, seeing him for the first time, what he does for you, how he sort of maxes out the talent that God's given him.
He's an incredible player. I mean, he's incredible. That's what I said to Andrew after this last game. I was like, man, every tackle that Matt made, it was like, down. Like he's such a good tackler. In this day and age, you think you see in football, college, and sometimes the NFL, not every defensive player, certainly not every defense is a good tackling team. Matt Rose can tackle, and he just is aggressive, fundamentally sound, got a fierce competitive spirit about him. Super instinctive and smart as a player. I mean, this guy is top notch, and he has been a real highlight the whole year. And a leader, just an outstanding football player.
Just as a quick follow-up, thinking football, the players you've encountered, he must be high up on the scale, because it just seems like his anticipation and sense of what's coming just exceeds what we typically see on the football field.
Yeah, it really does. And I just think he has that knack. Sometimes you're playing against linebackers and they can get downhill real fast, or some are, better at reading and diagnosing. He has good instincts. Sometimes he's downhill hard and in the hole making a play in the backfield. Other times, he's kind of slow until and then diagnosing it and still making a play for a 0-yard gain or a 1-yard gain. Just understanding his assignment on every play call defensively, and then being able to execute at a high level. I mean, he's just been very consistently good the whole year.
Dylan?
Yeah, Coach, obviously this is going to be your 12th game as a college coach. What is one thing you've learned the most about the college game, or one thing that you've enjoyed the most about coaching this team so far?
I mean, I just think the raw emotion from the players is, the love and excitement of, getting ready the whole week of practice. For me, the games have been great, but the practices have been equally as great. We really put a lot of emphasis on, practicing like pros and, practicing very hard and fast. And I just think that build up during the week of the way we prepare, has us, emotionally at the right spot when we get to game day. And that's it's a fun experience to go out there and do battle with those players. I mean, every week it does not get old. And as I've said, even, being later in my coaching career here, being energized by these players, and the environment that we're in, playing the teams that we're playing, and being a part of this season has been an amazing experience.
Ben?
Yeah, it's just I want to get thoughts on Simi Pale's return and how impactful that was, both for this past weekend and also going into this week.
We going into the game, we knew Simi was ready, physically cleared by the doctors to go play football, but he really had just had the 1 week of practice, and so we weren't exactly sure. He had to shake a little bit of the rust off. We could feel that during the week of practice. And just wasn't quite sure how that would be in the game, but man, it didn't take him long to adapt. Like he shook the game rust off real fast and got in a position there where, our initial plan, and we talked it through with Simi, the day before the game, like, hey, we're not going to start you, but we want I don't want that pressure on you to start. Just want you to be able to come in and shake the rust off a little bit, and then let's play it by ear. And he got in there, and after a series or two, you just knew he was kind of came off the field with that look in his eye and was ready to go, and then played the whole second half.
John?
Coach, I agree with your take about the defense having a chance in this game to do something special or be a catalyst as they were last week. We talked about Matt Rose. I can't let this session go without raising number 5, Jay Green. It seems like emotional leader, not just of the back end, but maybe the entire defense, maybe the team. Talk about that piece of it, and as well as his fundamental play on the field.
Yeah, 100% agree. Jay has been he's been a big play machine as well. He just has a knack for the big play. I've mentioned to you guys before, every week, our coaches, as we grade it out, he consistently, his grade for this last game was the highest on the defense. It was high, and that's been consistent all year. So, and at the end of the day, that's really what speaks the loudest: consistent, high level play, and that's really what we've been seeing from Jay and Matt. Certainly two of our really stronger leaders on defense. I mean, we got a couple others as well. I mean, you can start naming Teva. Teva's another guy who's really played hard and made an impact. Clay Patterson, they've all, back there, they've all taken their turns of defense. Yeah, for us to go where we want to go this weekend against Notre Dame, our defense again is really going to have to take center spot here and do a good job of slowing down their offense, like we've been able to do quite a bit of the year.
Any other questions for Coach?